Special bundles with premium membership from Chess24. Super discounts on merchandise. Massive sales on courses from Chessable. Chessable and Chess24 bundles. With new deals appearing every day. Visit chess24.com/deals.
All right. Okay, welcome everybody to Banter Blitz. This is Grandmaster Sam Shankland. I'm looking forward to playing some games. I will say I prefer 5-minute games, so just because I don't like getting flagged, but so I'm going to see who all has challenged me to 5 minutes. Zevich. So I'll play with you, and I'm going to be playing my Chessable repertoires. So for example, I'm going to put that, and I'm going to constantly spam this stuff in the chat, but I'm going to be playing my Chessable repertoire today, so we'll see how it works. Unfortunately, it's not complete yet. It only is covering d4 from white against knight f6 and sidelines. But so let's see if how my repertoire holds up. All right, Banco Gambit. Let's see if I can remember what I recommended. That's the first step. So will he play for bishop g7? Yes, he will. That's sort of the modern move. And then I found this very interesting try to play bishop c4 here. Let's see if this guy has seen it before. I'm sure he hasn't because there's only like one game. All right, so if I recall, queen a5 is not supposed to be great because now I go a7, and unlike with the bishop on e2, knight e4 does not work here because I will take on b8 and then go with knight e2, which is the key point of playing this way. So he goes for rook a7 and now bishop d2. This whole position is going to revolve around this key diagonal from a6 to f1. And here, rook a8, I don't remember covering in the course. I assume that means it's probably bad, but well, I have to figure out why. e5 is, of course, extremely direct and very tempting. But I'm going to be calm and see if I can just play in the same manner as the Chessable course, which is to meet bishop a6 with b3 and then use this bishop as a glorified pawn to try to contest this long diagonal. And I think if I can do that, I should just be better. So for example, here, if black goes like, if he goes bishop takes c4, b takes c4, queen a6, I think I will be in time to play e5 and knight b5. All right, so that doesn't look impressive. I'm just going to castle. If ed5, knight d5, and I should basically be winning. And I think I've completed my development very nicely, and I should be more or less winning, largely because I was able to just use this bishop on c4 as a glorified meat shield, and so now I just have to figure out the best way to consolidate. Bishop c3, knight d5, bishop g7, knight e3, unclear. Bishop g5 looks very natural. Let's just do it. This feels very nice. So that, sure. I guess I can take f6, take h6. If he takes a1, he will get mated, so I'll take a second pawn. That seems pretty reasonable. All right, so let's see. Do I care if he takes my rook in the corner? Probably not. But maybe I should just play e5 just to be safe. Seems like a good idea. Let's go e5. And white is a very clean pawn up, and black's king is in serious trouble thanks to the dark squares. So take, sure. He will take on e5, and then knight takes e5, rook takes e5, and rook e1 or something should be routinely winning. Maybe I could even throw bishop g5 at him first. Bishop g5, if f6, queen d5, check in, knight e5. If bishop back to f6, queen d5 as well. Let's do it. Why not? I don't know. Probably I could have actually played this a bit better. I might only just end up with one extra pawn, which I should win, but okay, that one I thought I could play rook e1. Actually, if I take on e5, he cannot take with the rook anymore. Take e5, he can't take with the rook. That feels pretty nice. Let's just take e5. If he has to take with the queen, that messes up his coordination a bit. Yeah, so now I have bishop f4. All right, so I got this one, and now I'm pretty good at screwing up winning positions, but this one I don't think I'll manage. Yeah, so rook a6, let's just get ready to invade the back rank and potentially exchange the queens. Seems like a nice clinical way to finish the game. All right, so let's check and take this and take the knight. Yeah, guys, I don't know why I have a Dutch flag. That's weird. I think it's because I was in the Netherlands when I created my account, but rest assured I am not Dutch. So yeah, this game here was from the part 1 course, not part 2, but I covered the Benko Gambit in this course here that I'm just putting in the Chess24 chat. So let's see who else wants to play. Ardaus, sure, I'll play with you. Let's see if I can. I'll be playing black here, so I can't play my d4 repertoire, but maybe if he plays d4 himself, I can play my Stanislav. Yes, good game to Zavich. Okay, so let's play my Stanislav repertoire, see how this goes. Bishop f4, London system. Actually, I was very happy with what I did. Oh, c3, come on. I'm supposed to play c takes d4 here and go for an exchange Slav. That's what the repertoire recommends. And I do think I convincingly showed equality, but I'm going to be a little bit more feisty and play e6 instead. So how does this go? Bishop d6. I don't really know what I'm doing here, but sort of making it up as I go. Castle. And I think you're supposed to play queen c7 now with the idea of knight bd7 next. And there's some line here, dc5, queen c5, knight bd2. I think knight bd2 is not great because now after knight bd7, I'm able to take back on c5 with the knight. And here, if I can get e5 next, black should be very comfortable. And he has lost some time on bishop d6, and now e5 comes. And so this position should be very comfortable for black. I don't necessarily think I'm better yet, but it should be more fun. So I can go bishop g4 next and cause some trouble, hopefully. All right, so sure, I'm a man of my word. And then bishop h5. If he wants to play g4, he's more than welcome to do so. All right, bishop e2, let's centralize the rook. Queen a4. Does he want my pawn? Do I care? Knight e4, queen a7, rook d6. I have a feeling I might just mate him, but I'm not sure. Let's just be calm and safe for today. After all that work on the d4 repertoire, getting the space advantage and everything, I'm playing far too strategic chess, but that's okay. So let's go rook d6 and double rooks on the d file to overprotect this pawn. And at some point, knight e4 and a rook lift could come, but I want to secure the position first. Yeah, guys, I would prefer 5 minutes if possible, because I don't like getting flagged. So I will go rook fd8, and I think I'm going to be a little bit better equipped to fight for the d file than white will be in a position like this one. And the knight could come to b4, which could be annoying for white. To Siddhartha, I said black won't be allowed to play d5, d4. Yeah, that's true. So what I think is black's best plan is to double on the d file to overprotect the pawn, anticipating that the file might open as it just did. And if white doesn't play for c4, at some point you're going to go for knight e4 and start attacking. So I think that would generally be how I would recommend handling this position. Queen b3 seems like a pretty decent move. Let's just make some room for my king. I feel like maybe I could have gotten more than I ended up getting here, but I mean, black's certainly not worse or anything. It's just think white's more or less fine here. Maybe he was just more or less fine the whole way. I can't expect to just be better when white makes, you know, let's say 1 or 2. I mean, really just 1, I think, inaccurate decision, but yeah. But it's hard for white to fight for the d-file. If he goes rook d2, I'm very tempted by knight f4. Okay, knight d2, that feels like it should lose. So if I take on e2 and knight f4, that looks very, very good. Knight takes e3, I don't think works. Queen e3, and she's alive. But take a knight f4 looks very powerful. So he can play, he has to play rook e1, and then rook takes d2 is not great because of e takes f4, but I can just like take on g2 or h3 or something, and that should be easily good enough. Yeah, this whole white was unable to challenge the d-file. This rook on e1 ended up being a bad piece. That's sort of because I had a little bit more space, but yeah, so let's take on h3 and then take on d2 with a clean pawn up and white's king in shambles. So we'll take this one, and this should be routinely winning. I have the d-file and white's king is wide open. Okay, rook d1, I guess, is a good move. White c4. I think that works. Queen a4, b5, and that's the end, yeah? Okay, let's do it. Why do super GMs play d4 knight f6 instead of d4 d5? Well, a lot of it, one reason might be a move order. Another one might just be a different opening. Like if you want the Grunfeld or the King's Indian, obviously you start with knight f6. But there's a lot of guys that want to play some kind of Queen's Gambit declined via knight f6 on move 1, and so d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, and then play d5, basically saying I only want to play the Queen's Gambit once white has committed to playing knight f3, so that we've avoided a lot of the best Carlsbad options. So that's why a lot of people would play that way. It means that white cannot play into the Carlsbad. All right, I think once I take the rook, this guy might have had enough. Still hasn't. Okay. Do I speak another language? Yeah, I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, my Spanish is maybe like a 3 or a 4, and my French is maybe a 9, what I would say. All right, Serious Llama, let's play with you. Okay, I got black again. Let's see how it goes. All right, so I'm going to play the Semi-Slav course again. I'll put that in the chat here in case anybody is interested about that. Let's see if this guy plays the London as well. He does. Everyone's playing London. Oh, man. Okay, so knight c6. I'm still just playing my proposed repertoire from the course. Bishop e2. That is really seems like a chicken move. That I can't imagine I'll ever be worse here as a result. Let's go bishop g4. That seems like an easy way. I thought normally they were playing with knight bd2 there. So hang on. What happens now if I take on d4 and go queen b6? There might be some trick, but I don't see it, so I'm just going to do it. Okay, so now I can just start harvesting pawns. I mean, hang on, how do I do this? Queen b2, knight bd2, queen takes d4, bishop e3, queen a4 or something. Can't imagine that's enough for white. I don't know, the open b file is a little annoying. Maybe I should just take on d4 and content myself with one pawn, but I don't know, knight d4, bishop e5, knight f3, queen f3, and it's a little annoying to defend d5. I'll take this one and just take all the pawns. I'm going to be greedy. I might regret it, but that's okay. I don't think I will. I can take this. Bishop e3 is sort of forced, and then let's say something like maybe queen a4, rook b1, and just e6. Give back one of the pawns, go bishop d6, and get castled. Looks pretty reasonable. I could also just go queen e5. I kind of like queen e5. Get this queen back towards c7. I'm also potentially threatening d4 in some cases. Yeah, okay. So knight b3 I think is way too slow. I'm just going to go e6, and I'm like one move away from basically winning the game. So yeah, sure, queen back to c7. All I have to do to win now is just bishop e7 and castle, and I do not believe white's going to stop me, so that should be very good. All right, so if I guess he wants knight c5. I don't think I care that much. Knight c5, b6, knight a6, queen d7 seems safe enough. All right, bishop e7, knight c5, and b6, and that feels like I'm 2 pawns up. What do I think about the birds opening, f4 and then b3? Any opening that shares its name with an animal is going to be terrible. That's my one brilliant nugget of wisdom that absolutely everybody should know. So don't play the bird. There's a reason that nobody good plays it. Okay, so now I'm 2 pawns up and just need to find the best way to bring the game to its conclusion. Let's say, let's just go e5. If he takes on d5, I can go like rook d8 or something. Or like knight takes d5 and bishop a3, knight b4. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have given up this pawn, but I don't think it matters. The Sicilian pulse-in with 4a6 is, I don't know. I never really thought much of that line, but it's not the worst. I think that I think that the Taimanov is better than the Paulson. If you want to play that way, you should be playing with knight c6. I would recommend Hari Krishna's course when it comes out. I think he does a very good job analyzing those positions. So let's see here. c4, what am I missing? dc, and then is that just a piece? Looks like it. I'm doing a number on the London system. It's all in the Chessable course, guys. These guys clearly haven't studied it. But yeah, here everything is hanging, and this game is very much over. Just wants to keep playing. It's fine. Take on b3. Take on c6. Oh, buy it. All right. So if I take on a2, rook to b7, queen takes c6, rook takes e7, knight d5 is, I mean, I don't know. Everything wins here. I don't even know why I'm thinking. Let's just take on a2. Of course, I could have just played bc and remained up a piece like a rational person, but this certainly is good enough as well. Rook b7, queen c6, rook e7, and knight d5, and that is that. So knight d5. Good to see you, DeRoche. Hope you're having fun here. All right. Maybe queen a3 is a little more annoying than I gave it credit for, but this is still very much winning. Queen a3, maybe I can go knight f4, actually. That's nice. Threatens mate and knight e2 check. And I think the c1 rook is better than the e7 rook. I was thinking after queen a3 to go knight takes e7, bishop e7, queen takes c1, queen c1, and rook db8. But after king h2, rook b1, queen c6, I thought that was... Even that just looks winning after rook a b8 with a1 queen to follow, but yeah. Yeah, okay. So far, the Chessable courses are holding up pretty well, I must say. I'm happy with the quality of this analysis. It's been doing quite well on this Banter Blitz, both with white and with black. Okay, so queen takes e5, and now I take on e7. And let's say rook db8, and how is he going to stop this rook from landing on b1. Seems like an effective way to end the game. Rook's dc8 was certainly good enough as well. Or queen a4 or anything really. All right, so let's take this rook and then make a new queen. Admire this guy, he doesn't give up. All right, good game, Serious Llama. I think I managed to cause some problems to your London system. Let's see, who is next? Let's go with GM Aryan. Is that Mr. Tari? Should we play with him? Is that really him? Or is that just a random guy pretending to be Aryan? Let's find out. So if he crushes me, it may be Aryan Tari. All right, so let's see if I'm able to play my Chessable repertoire or not. If he plays d5, I can't, unfortunately, because that would transpose to part 3. Oh, man, I cannot shamelessly advertise, so I have to play. All right, let's just play a Catalan. Okay, so bishop e7, bishop g2, and I played b3 against Wesley in the Banter Blitz, which I think was not such a stupid move. c5 should be castles is fine. Knight c6. That one I'm not sure about. I take on d5. I think this might be a little bit uncomfortable for black, actually. I'm not sure. Okay, so now we're just going to get some kind of Tarrasch, but I'm quite happy with that. And with a bishop on b2, it seems pretty healthy. All right, so bishop g4, if knight e5, seems very reasonable. What happens after knight e5? Bishop back to e6 or something? Take, knight d2 comes. So let's just go knight e5. I'm probably going to get a hanging pawn structure rather than an isolated pawn, but that's okay. He probably should take on d4, and then after something like cd, and then so I'm going to get a hanging pawn structure here, but I think it's quite a good one for me. My pieces are very well coordinated. Which opening would I have chosen? Well, I would have played my Chessable repertoire, which is like Queen's Indian with g3, Bogo Indian with Bishop d2, Gligorich King's Indian, or Russian system Grunfeld. So I could take on f6 here, but I think it's a very good bishop I have on b2, so I'm going to leave it alive for the moment. I'm not giving up on taking f6. I might do it later, but for now I want to keep this bishop alive. Like, for example, if I play moves like queen c2 and rook c1 to harass the bishop on c5, I'm quite happy that it cannot go to a3. Okay, so d4, but I think this is just bad because I can take it and then knight c4, and I should win if I'm not mistaken. Bishop f2, rook f2, bishop c4, and bc, and he cannot take. Yeah, so this is a piece up. All right, I'm going to make a bold claim and guess that GM Aryan is not actually Mr. Tari, but yeah. Actually, wait, is this over already? Bishop takes c4, bishop takes d4, and then c5. I thought this was just over, but maybe there's still some fight left. Okay, so I have to, what am I thinking? Bishop takes d4, and now c5 is coming, and the question is, how do I put this away? This might actually, I might have spoken too soon. So bishop f6, bishop f1, bishop a8, rook a8, queen f1, queen f6. Looks more or less okay for black. Bishop f6, bishop f1, bishop a8, queen f6. Not so clear. This actually was harder than I thought it would be. So yeah, okay, I'm gonna take this one and go with rook c1. I think is probably the easiest, and just remain a pawn up. Maybe I could have done better, but this should be a clean pawn up, and a very good bishop at that. Like rook d8, rook takes c4, and I don't think he has anything. But yeah, I definitely spoke too soon. I thought the game was just over immediately, but that wasn't the case. All right, so hang on. Queen c2, rook d2 is an issue. Let's go Queen c2, rook d2, rook a4, queen g5. It's fine, let's find out. And rook a4 here was my big point. But black is more alive here than I was hoping he would be. Queen g5, h4, I can play. Okay, so he takes that way, but now I'm very cleanly a pawn up. I just have to not get flagged. But oh, was this a 3-minute game? That might explain why I have no time. But I think I should have fair chances here. It's actually a little annoying to coordinate my pieces. Rook e3, let's go rook e2. This way my queen is now free. Queen d4, centralize her. D1. Sure, I almost just blundered checkmate there, but didn't. Okay, queen d6. Maybe I'm just misplaying this horribly, but we'll find out. So here, a3. Yeah, I'm misplaying this pretty badly. He may save this, but it's largely because of the time control. But I got a nice pawn. Rook takes f7, check. And then check and take this rook. And this should be winning. Let's see, so here, 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 here. Okay, and now I'm taking all the pawns, and that should routinely win. All right, so the only question is, can I win in time? But I'm pretty sure I will here. So here, check, check, queen. I had to promote to queen here. Did I? Oh, come on. This is why I shouldn't play chess. All right. Okay, GM Ariane. Well played. A very well-deserved draw. So who else wants to play? Let's play with Mick Thal. So I will once again try to play my repertoire. This is why I shouldn't play 3-minute. All good, GM Ariane. You play the way you want to play. That's totally fine. I have no qualms whatsoever. Okay, so let's see if I can play my repertoire against this fellow, or if he will transpose back to the Queen's Gambit. So here we have. Okay, so he's going back to the Queen's Gambit of some kind with the Slav, but well, we'll see if I can cause any trouble. Opponent disconnected. That's a shame. Okay, so while we're waiting, I'll just say that I'm here mostly just playing Banter Blitz, but also advertising my new course on Chessable, which I'm going to put in the chat once more here, that I'm trying to play with white to the extent that I can. It's a 3-part course. Part 1 covered all the sidelines after d4, which is like Dutch, Banco, Benoni, Modern, all that stuff. Part 2 covered the Indian games, and then Part 3 is going to be the Queen's Gambit, which I haven't covered yet, but should be out soon. So let's see, who else wants to play? Blunder Panda, I like that name, and I like the picture. All right, Blunder Panda, show me what you got. Let's see if I can, let's see. Okay, so I again cannot advertise my course because I haven't covered the Queen's Gambit yet, but that's okay. Let's just play a Slav. And I don't know, what are you supposed to do here? I think I've been playing Queen d3 and Banter Blitz, so let's keep playing that. Take, take, and it's Queen back to d3. If this guy is playing my semi-Slav repertoire, I'm going to have a lot of trouble. But b4 is not a great move. I think the best move there is a6, as I gave him the course. So Queen d5, he wants to trade all the stuff. I do not consent. e4 is coming. Yeah, I think already like black is just worse. He has made some weaknesses on the c file, and now he has opened my rook as well. And this position is going to be very bad for him. After bishop takes d2, I'm going to lose a pawn, but I have to choose. I'm already up a pawn anyway, so that's okay. I have to choose which pawn to lose, but oh, he didn't even want it. So e4, bishop d2, knight d2, knight b4, unclear. That's annoying. I could just go bishop c3 and use this bishop as a glorified pawn. That looks pretty good, actually. e4 is coming next. And then, yeah, much like I do in the Banco Gambit, like we saw in game 1, I'm going to use a bishop as a glorified pawn to contest an important diagonal. And here I'm ready to play e4 next, and or e3 even. I think actually e3 is safer. I don't really need to play e4. And this looks very bad for black already. So knight c7, sure. Let's just develop with bishop d3. A very clean pawn up here, and black cannot castle. Okay, so I guess I will castle. And knight e5, and white's pieces are jumping to life, and black's position looks approximately lost to me. All right. No, don't worry about it, Jay Marianne. It's fine. I'm not mad at you or anything. It's totally good. That's part of the game. I might not like that it's part of the game, but that is my problem and not your problem. All right, so rook fc1. Let's just keep developing pieces. Okay, so I'll give a check and duck the bishop back to e4 to challenge this knight, and I'm potentially looking to play knight d3 next to fight for the c5 square. Maybe he can play c5 here. That might have been careless because bishop c5, bishop b4, there is knight b4. But I'm still pretty confident here. a5, sure. So knight d3, I'll just execute my plan and fight for the c5 square. Just be happy Sam is not a FFL. I don't know what FFL is, but I'm assuming it's not something nice. So. Okay, so if I go e4, he cannot take my bishop, so let's go e4. I'm probably playing way too methodically here and not aggressively enough, but that's okay. Oh, I see. Okay. I see what an FFL is. All right, e5 here should win a piece and promptly the game. So I take on f4. Okay, now I'm a piece up. I guess I'm not too in touch with the internet culture here, I guess. But yeah, that's okay. All right, so good game, Blunder Panda. Let's see who else would like to play. Let's see. Ooh, there's someone with a high rating. Alex Go. Let's see if he can cause me some trouble. And let's see if I can play my repertoire. No, I can't. He played e4. All right, let's play Caracan. Okay, so he's playing the two knights, which is like the big line nowadays. So I'm going to play the stupid bishop h5 move, which does not work, but I'm going to hope that he doesn't know why. So let's see, check here. D4 is, I think, is not supposed to be the best move, actually, because now I can play e6, and after knight e5, I'm ready with knight e7, and I don't need to play rook c8. Yeah, this line is pretty suspect for black, but well, we'll see if I can hold it together. I think my chances of holding it together are much, much higher because I managed to play knight e7 instead of rook c8. But for anybody looking to play the Caracan, this is probably not what you should be doing. So f6, I think I have to play. Although I could play h5 here, actually. Again, thanks to being able to play knight e7. h5, bishop g5, f6 seems safe enough. Maybe knight g6, gh5 is annoying then. h5, bishop g5, f6, knight g6, not much choice. All right, so let's just play f6. I'm not thrilled about that. I would have rather played h5, but I don't think I had that much of a choice. If he plays h5 himself here, I think I probably am taking on c2. Actually, no, f takes e5 is fine, and knight takes g6 back. It all came down to being able to play knight e7. I don't know. What did I play so well about US Championship? Well, I played really well all throughout 2019, but or 2018, excuse me. 2019, a lot of things went wrong, like really a lot. Had problems in my personal life. Both my parents got sick. My hand got slashed open. I wasn't allowed to play the FIDE Grand Prix. There was a whole lot of things that went wrong. And in general, I think the biggest thing, though, was that I failed to overcome the adversity in a way that a champion should. Everybody has problems in their life. Everybody goes through good phases and bad phases. That's just part of being a human. But losers whine and complain, and when they go through bad phases, they underperform. And unfortunately, that's what I did. And I'm hopeful that now that my life is looking a lot better, hopefully that means I can play better chess. But it's also hard when there's no tournaments. So we'll see. All right, so rook c8. I don't think white's worse here or anything, but I'm pretty happy with how the game has gone so far. All right, let's challenge this bishop. Let him figure out where it wants to go. Probably a stupid move. All right, bishop d3. I'm actually really regretting rook c8. This knight on e7 needed to get to c6, and it's not getting there. Let's go queen b6 or something. And now let's just go b5 and gain space. Attack this knight. I don't know. Someone says it looks like black is definitely equalized. I mean, at some point I thought I was doing like reasonably well here, but the problem is this is variations like this that are just always bad for you generally. When you get like a better version than normal, you often feel like your position's fantastic because you're used to it being terrible, but in fact you might just be like a bit worse instead of much worse. And then it can be deceptive and you can overestimate your position easily. Yeah, like here, for example, I think that it's gone about as well as I could have expected, but I still think I'm probably a bit worse. Okay, I don't like gh5, though. That lets me solidify nicely. So let's go knight g8 and reroute with knight f6, and then be ready for bishop b4 as well. Queen g2, I can bring the other knight to e7. I could also play bishop b4 here. Queen g6, king h, king f8, and who's afraid of the big bad wolf? Nah, queen e6 is too much. Let's go knight e7, keep everything solid. Rook takes c3 is in the air, and I'm ready for knight f6 as well to start abusing some weak squares, and I think I have things more or less under control. Who's my favorite player from chess history? It's got to be Kasparov. I mean, he was my hero growing up. Now that I'm a little bit older, I really appreciate him even more because one thing I've noticed is that even when he was getting into like his late 30s and early 40s, he was still playing like incredibly sharp chess against like all the young guys and just doing it better than them. And that's like basically something nobody does. Like if you look at someone like Anand, who's obviously a fantastic player with like, you know, great history behind him. When he got older, he sort of had to pivot away from the sharp lines and towards more Berlins. And he did fine. He made that work for him, and he won games, and that's what matters. But Kasparov was the only one who was able to maintain that like really aggressive style of chess, like all the way through, even when he was getting a bit older. So hang on here. Rook takes c3. If rook c3, bc, queen takes c3 check, that looks so tempting. All right, we're playing Banter Blitz. Let's just do it. In a real game, I probably would have done something a little bit more sedate, but here I'm just going to start taking the pawns and playing for compensation. Maybe I should have gone knight takes h5 there. So gf6, of course, get the bishop to h6 and the rook to g8. So queen f2 is a good move that, of course, I overlooked, but it's annoying. All right, I'll go queen a4 to stop him from playing a4, and I'm ready for bishop h6 next. And funnily enough, like whenever you look at any exchange sacrifice, the first thing you should always consider are how good are the rooks. And here, the rooks are just not very good. Like my bishop will come to h6, and I don't really see what white's rooks are accomplishing. And now that he has played rook h4, I'm very tempted to throw e5 at him if he moves his queen away. But I don't know. I probably could have played this game a bit better, but that's okay. So let's go rook g8, get a nice active square for the rook. Queen a7, sure. I don't think that threatens anything. I'm not particularly scared. So let's go rook g3 and try to invade the position. Rook f3. All right, so if I take it, I was thinking e5 here, but now I'm noticing bishop takes f5. Yeah, I think I've misplayed this pretty badly. Let's just go queen b4 and keep everything safe and look for an invasion on e1 at the right time. So still no threats, right? I'm not wildly scared. If e5, bishop f5, e4 check, not so convincing. So I guess I can invade to d2. Seems sensible. And now e5 just has to happen, right? To check. And then f takes e5, and this is not going to go well for white. I have too many pawns in there too good, and now that's made into. Okay, so good game, Alex. Go. I got away with a pretty silly opening here, and I think actually at some point I had started to misplay it, but at least I pulled it out in the end. So who else wants to play? Coach Bruno. No, it's 3 minutes. I don't want to get flagged. Jup. Let's play with you. Okay, so I'm going to d4. We'll see if I get to play my repertoire against this guy. Nope. Man, this is tough. Everybody is going for part 3. So I guess I'm going to have to I like this. a6. What do people do now? I think c5 is supposed to be a decent move. So what is it? It's like bishop f4 now. Of course, I have no idea what I'm doing here, but that's okay. So what it's like here, I think it's bishop e2, and then if I recall, knight d2 is a clever move here, because if castle, you go g4, h4. Okay, so he heard me and played h6, but that also means that I'm faster in getting my knight to a5 because he is spending time on a move like a6, h6. All right, so knight b3. And let's try to get this knight to a5 under the right circumstances. Castle, I guess I'll go for bishop d8. That's probably pretty smart. So a4. All right. Let's just go take an f4 and try to clamp the dark squares. This probably isn't the greatest way to play against the Chebanenko, but, well, we'll see if I can make it work. So take queen d2, and yeah, so I think that b5 should be faster than e5 now. So he takes. I mean, b6 is coming. That's going to be very scary for Black. He can maybe try b6 himself, but this is, as he's played it, I would think this is probably not great for him. But that bishop on e4 is really good, which is kind of annoying. Like if I were to take on d7 and then take twice on e5 and he goes queen g4, his queen becomes a very annoying piece all of a sudden. So how do I want to handle this? I can play fe and then fe, rook f8, and queen a5. That looks pretty tempting, actually. I think that's fine. Let's just do that. Queen I5 and attack his queen a bit. You have to take with the rook, so let's go queen I5 to try to invade. If queen C8, my thought was I could maybe play queen A4. Well, he has to play queen C8, so but no, queen A4, knight F6, and queen G4 is coming. I'm going to get mated. I got to challenge this bishop. So takes and then take back. Sure. Such an annoying bishop. Yeah, I think black has to be fine here. I definitely haven't played this the best. Keep the queen off of G4, but black has to be fine now. I mean, he has too much kingside counterplay, and my whole bring his rook to the F file with mine on the A file is looking less than intelligent at this moment. So I'll go rook F1, and then queen G6. He will play rook F2, and should be equal-ish. Yeah. Okay. He cannot move the knight just yet for any kind of nastiness because of rook takes F8 check and queen D8, but yeah, there's no doubt black is very much fine here. I probably misplayed this horribly, but that's okay. Yeah, so I was thinking about that move while he was going. So bishop takes H3 is a threat, which I don't think I can ignore. So do I have to play king H2? And queen H5, bishop E2, queen H4 is a problem. Maybe I should just queen C3 back, but then knight E4, take bishop E4, rook F8, and I don't know, queen D2 or something. Yeah, this is not glorious, but I have to admit that I have been outplayed. And that black is quite fine. Yeah, so I was expecting knight E4, and my thought was I could take this. Maybe I should just go queen D2 first. Or queen E3. Let's go queen E3 is fine. Someday the B7, this B7 pawn could become a weakness. Like if I can get the queens off and bring my bishop around to a square like C8, then I'm in good shape. But I actually think that it's gone wrong for black, and knight E4 wasn't a great decision because now, I mean, my king is actually really safe, and I have no particular weaknesses. And this B7 pawn, like this bishop on E4 looks very nice, but it's actually not doing very much. All right, so let's tuck this bishop back around and start to try to go to G4. I think black has to somehow be fine here, but I can at least cause some problems. Okay, queen C6. And now, how do I want to handle this? Queen C6 was a good move. I think he's going to hold this together. So, yeah, I think he's going to survive this. Let's just go king H2 to make a move. Take, and yeah, black is fine here. This is going to be a draw. I could manage to lose this, but yeah, the bishop on E4 is a very good piece. All right, so I guess H4, keep putting the pawns on the opposite color square as my bishop. Seems like good policy. Centralize the queen. Sure. All right, let's go like H5, I guess. No, his king is actually a little bit awkward now. I mean, I think black has to be fine here, but it's maybe not the most trivial. All right, so I have to go queen back to F2. That's okay. Let's go bishop H3. He's almost in Zugzwang, actually. Yeah, so that I thought was going to allow bishop d7 was the big idea. If d4, I have c6. Yeah, so here I thought c6 was good because bishop takes c6, bishop e6 is mate. Yeah, now does bishop e6 mate? It looks like it might. I'm not sure. Bishop e6, he has king h7, yeah? So I have a feeling I'm winning here, but it's not so easy to prove. Queen e2, not clear. I'm running out of time too. All right. He's offered me a draw. I don't think I can in good conscience accept that. All right, let's go king h3 just to get the king off of the loose square before anything else. I don't know. I have a feeling that I should be winning, but if it's the kind of position where if it's winning, it's going to take a lot of accuracy that I don't have the time to show. Like I could easily see myself burning like 10 minutes here to find a winning continuation. So queen c5 seems sensible. I guess I have to play like, shoot. Nah, that was stupid. I shouldn't have gone for this. All right, g4, and now queen d6, queen g3 was my big idea. But this is getting very messy. Okay, but now I should be winning. I can go c7. And then king f2, and I win. Okay, actually, that's clever. So takes. This is close now. Bishop f5. If I had played c8 queen, it would have been a draw. But now I take this pawn, and now I win. Okay, bishop back to f5. And now I got this. Let's see if another guy flags me. Don't think it will work this time. C8 queen. All right. I managed to avoid getting flagged this time. Yeah, so good game, Jep. The reason you got an okay position was because I hadn't done the D5 course yet. All right, so let's see. Mr. ACZ. No, that's 3 minutes. Okay. Giroud, we can play with you. All right. Okay, so I guess I'll play Caro-Kann again, just because I'm in that kind of mood today. All right, let's see if this guy plays. Okay, so he goes for the more principled advanced variation. Whoa. All right. Well, I think you kind of have to do this, right? E6 and then queen d6, right? I thought this was supposed to be pretty good for black, but what do I know? All right, so if e5, queen e2, knight d7, bishop f4, queen b4, check c3, and he's good. So I guess I have to start with knight d7. But I really don't believe in playing this way for white. Like I'm one move away from playing e5 and just being like much better. He probably has to play f4, and then I'm very tempted to throw g5. And if like f takes g5, bishop g7, e5 follows. And okay, so this looks very skeptical now. So e5 comes, and then bishop a3, I'm sure, because there's no other point of playing this way, but like queen f6, and after bishop takes f8, I'm just probably should just play king takes f8, although it's tempting to throw queen h4 check in, but just king takes f8 is fine. And already I think white's like clearly worse here. So it's a little bit of a shame to not be able to castle long here. Maybe I should just go knight takes f8 and castle long, and I guess knight f8 also eyeballs the f4 square. But now that he's played this way, that's not going to help this cause because now I can take with the rook on f8. Yeah, and now this looks basically winning for black. Too many threats. I'm going to go up at least a pawn with like a very healthy position to boot. All right, so I guess I'll take a pawn. He probably has to castle long. And he's not like dead, but he is down a pretty healthy pawn. How should I improve my positional play? I think playing a fair amount of classical chess will help. Try playing more strategic openings, which in general, like if you play d4 with whites, you develop an understanding of strategic chess. In general, I think that a lot of guys out there shoot themselves in the foot by only playing e4 or only playing d4, and if you it's not even so much about the opening, it's just that if you don't play in a wide range of different kinds of middle games, you don't develop your understanding. So like, for example, there's a lot of guys out there just like this fantastic understanding of chess because like they've played, you know, d4 every game and the Spanish every game and Queen's Gambit Decline. They've got this very deep strategic understanding of chess, but they've never played any Sicilians and they just can't like really play when it gets messy. And there's also guys who are just always like e4, most aggressive possible, like, you know, dragon with black, you know, King's Indian, all this stuff. And, you know, that's also a very important part of chess. But if you then can sometimes find yourself not at home in more strategic positions. And I think that the best players are ones who tend to have developed both a strong sense of strategy as well as dynamics. And that only comes if you play a wide range of different kinds of middle games. So here, things are not going well for white. Let's go bishop h5 and start attacking his pawns. This is a pretty powerful queenside pawn mass I have, or more of a central pawn mass. Okay, so that's a clever move, I guess. Let's go king c7 and break the pin. Yeah, I mean, it's not even so much about playing both e4 and d4. I mean, in general, I think you should, and that's what I do, and I put my money where my mouth is. That's how I play chess. But it's more about, like, you don't have to be d4. It can be c4 if you want. But, like, you know, just something more strategic to complement something more direct. It also gives you more options. Like, you know, if you're in a tournament where, you know, you really need to play it safe compared to a tournament where like you absolutely need to win. You want to take more risk. Like having both of these options ready for you is a good thing. All right, so let's take a pawn here. One of the reasons I like the semi-Slav a lot, which is what I've been playing with black here in this, is that there's a lot of very sharp and a lot of very strategic positions that can come, and you need to be able to play both to handle the opening well. And I think playing the semi-Slav helps develop your understanding of the game as well, and not just the opening. So queen d4, knight e5, and I think this is falling apart for white. Okay, so good game, Giroud. Let's see who else wants to play. Ocean Storm. I don't know who that is, but it's a grandmaster. I think this may be my first grandmaster in Banter Blitz. Who is this fellow? I don't know. Let's see if I can find out. From Russia, apparently. All right, so let's play the repertoire and see how it goes against grandmaster play. Okay, so if he plays d5, I'm going to be really upset. Every time. All right, let's play the Catalan. Okay, so bishop g2. What are they doing now? a6 or knight c6 and c5, right? Okay, and what's the big idea here? Castle, I think. I played this with Robert Hess and Isle of Man, got a winning position and then lost. So yeah, it's like here, queen takes c4, and then b5, queen c3, I think was my big idea. Queen d3 is the main move, but I like queen c3 more. All right, so. So queen c3. The main move is queen d3, but I kind of like this queen c3 move that I played with Robert. And if memory serves, Robert played rook c8 here, and which was bad after dc5, and white was much better, but I still managed to screw it up. Yeah, so the whole point of this, if I'm not wrong, is that this is not supposed to work, because now I'm able to play b3 at a moment when black is not really able to hold the c4 pawn together as well as you'd like. So here and now, let's say I go queen c2, and I think he's going to have to take on b3, which is a very bad sign for black. Maybe queen b2 was better, I don't remember, but if he has to take on b3, that's not good news for him. Yeah, so I'm going to take this one now. And I don't see anything wrong with grabbing the pawn. Yeah, so what Hikaru is pointing out is that you'd rather play somebody who's played, you're more scared of somebody who's played like one opening over and over again than somebody who's playing a lot of openings. There's a very big difference. There's a balance that needs to be struck. There's only so many good openings out there. I don't think you're going to like become a better chess player by like, you know, playing, I don't know what, the Elephant Gambit or whatever the heck the kids are playing nowadays. But if you're like playing both e4 and d4 and you're like able to play mainline decent theory in both cases, that helps a lot. But there's a big difference between studying like a few different lines and having 3 or 4 ways of playing and like playing 15 different things. But it also depends a lot. I think it's much better for Blitz to just play one opening over and over again, but for classical, not necessarily. And classical is what I care much more about. Well, so e5 already from this guy. Very aggressive. Makes sense, I guess. He needs to get something going. But I think, hang on. So d5, he's going to go knight g4, I guess, and then bishop c3. And what's the idea? Let's go d5 and find out. Okay, bishop e6, I don't think you can do. Come on, ef6, this is way too many pieces. This is sort of akin to what I was looking at in the repertoire. There were a couple of variations where I sacrificed the queen in my d4 repertoire. Oh, did I just get tricked? Oh, that's not good. I just got tricked. Okay, well spotted. Now I'm just down material and have to hope for the best. But it's not so bad for me, I think, because I have a lot of activity and I think I'm going to get the dark squared bishop. Yeah, so I'm probably a bit worse here, but I don't think it's the end of the world. All right, so let's tuck this bishop away. Yeah, I'm definitely worse now, but I think my drawing chances are very high. So rook c1, keep the rooks on the board, of course. My pieces are active, and the bishop on a1 is quite good. But yeah, that was a very nice tactic you saw there that I missed. That's caused me some issues. All right, so here queen a5 is a very good move. Man, I'm just getting outplayed this game. So I guess queen h4 seems like I should keep pieces on the board. Yeah, guys, it's tough to banter. I've always admired guys like Hikaru who can just talk and play well. That's you know, our guys who can just do everything well. You know, play well, classical over the board online. I mean, I'm a classical over the board player, and you know, I'm good at other stuff, but not like them. I mean, there's guys who can just do it all, and I've always admired them deeply. All right, some more wild lines here. Okay, rook takes c8. If knight e2, king f1, rook c8, I have to be mated if I take the knight. So am I just getting tricked until I'm lost? Seems like that's the case. Rook e1, knight f3, and I lose. Have to be mated there, right? Well, I don't think I have much of a choice, so I'm going to take on c8 and hope for the best. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I have to be. That doesn't even matter. He has queen takes a2. That just takes my bishop. That's certainly good enough. Any way to keep playing this game? Not that I can really see. Let's just desperado and hope up this king a bit. I was going to lose that bishop anyway. I'm almost certain that I made it after king takes e2 and then like bishop c4 check or something. But actually this I wasn't that convinced by. Is there mate? Check, and then here, I think he's sort of letting me off the hook a little bit. I'm almost certainly still lost, but okay, there, and now knight d4, rook c4, king e5, charge. King e5, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? Queen b8 should win, but I think he really let me off the hook a little bit. But I mean, this should certainly be winning for black, but I think he could have done this much easier. I'm really mad at myself for blundering this one. So here and now, king back to f4. I have to be checkmated here, but I don't see it. Queen b4 or something, or queen b8. Queen b8 looks like, yeah, queen b8 is the end. Queen c4. So if I go king e3, this is really ridiculous. Check. Okay, so if king e2, bishop c4 looks very much like mate, so well, I guess we have to walk into it, not much choice. Bishop c4, king d1, and where's the win? So here, and then if this one is ridiculous, keep running. Queen c3, and then I made it. Here, and then rook a5. All right, so good game, Motion Storm. I think if I hadn't blundered with e takes f6 and gotten all excited about giving up the queen, I probably would have just been much better. But what can you do? All right, so let's play with Udam Representativa Hetres. Did that work? Okay, so let's see if for once my d4 repertoire actually gets advertised. But it seems like so far it hasn't been. All right, so c4. Okay, so we're gonna get the d4 repertoire. Let's see how it goes. I'm gonna spam it again here and see how it goes. So now it's Ocean Storm. You're not old weak GM. You played good. You were very resourceful. Bishop takes f6 was well spotted. So yeah, Russian system, and let's see if this guy can cause any damage to the repertoire, or more importantly, if I can remember what I even recommended. So e4. And they should go a6, knights. Okay, a6 is the best. So bishop e2. b5, queen b3, c5 is how it normally starts. Let's see if this guy knows what he's doing. Yep, so bishop b7 or bishop e6? Bishop b7. Okay, so e5, knight f d7, and bishop e3. This is all still following the Chessable repertoire. The best move is e6. Let's see if this fellow knows that. He does. So castle. Queen c7, and now I have to make sure I remember, but I'm pretty sure the move is rook a d1. And here the point is it's actually a little bit awkward for black to take, because that's the c5 pawn is the pawn he does want to take, but the problem is this move queen a3 is annoying. And the move he really wants to play now is knight b d7, but then rook c1 is actually incredibly problematic for black. It's sort of a funny move to like play rook d1 and then rook back to c1, but if knight b d7, rook c1 almost just wins material on the spot. So here it takes some effort to play this position well. So knight e4, this is all still following the repertoire, and here I get knight g5, and I will be able to play f4 to bolster the e5 pawn and render the bishop on g7 passive. When I think black is a little worse, it's realistically not that bad for him, but yeah, so here we go f4 and start taking the space. Knight c6, sure. So there's a few ways you can handle this. I could just go bishop f3, trade off that good bishop, and then, but that doesn't strike me as that useful. I can play bishop c5 with the idea of queen h3. I can just go h4 and start throwing stuff at his king. I will go h4 and throw stuff at the king. This feels like a good policy right now. I have to be careful not to get my queen trapped by bishop f8, but I think I should be okay. Maybe this was ill-advised and I should have gone for bishop f3 instead. I don't know. Rook fd8 here, and I'm starting to wonder what I'm doing. But b4 is a serious mistake, I think, because now my queen gets the a4 square. He should have played rook fd8, because this bishop on g7 has no future except for getting back to f8 and rerouting, but that would have come with tempo after rook fd8, and now it no longer does. Plus, black's queenside has become weakened. So a5, and wait, rook takes d5, rook c1, rook c8, bishop b5. That looks like the end, right? Rook c1, rook c8, bishop b5. I don't see the trick. Let's find out. Takes rook c1. And as far as I can tell, I'm winning on the spot. Although after this last game where I was just up a pawn and blundered a trick, I'm not going to take anything for granted. But yeah, I think I'm taking material here. At least I don't see how black saves it. So Lars Shandorf recommended the Russian system, but he recommended it very, very differently than I did. He wanted a very aggressive Russian system where white goes for like e5, like a quick e5 in this line and starts to like attack black. While here, I was more interested in trying to secure the center and play strategically. So here, bishop b5, and now I don't see it for black. I think I'm just going to win. Oh man, guys, dude, if my parents are watching this Banter Blitz and they're saying that everybody is saying that 57 is old, they're gonna like be extremely angry. Let's go with rook takes c6. Don't want to get myself pinned. Queen g4, sure. Just keep everything defended, seems good. Takes. Rook d8, sure. Queen a5 is a pawn. This is the kind of position I like in the Russian system where you can, that's a rook on d8, where you complete your development and keep the space advantage in the center. It can just get very bad for black very fast. All right, so who else wants to play here? Let's go with Christoph without an H. Can play with you. All right, so let's see if I can play the repertoire again. All right, we get to play the repertoire. Let's see how this goes. So are we getting Benoni or what? No, this Benoni. Okay. This I don't think is supposed to be very good. Oh, but if I already like done a funky move order, that's fine. So what am I supposed to play here? I think I gave h3 in the repertoire. Yeah, this is right. h3 and then g4. And basically here the point is that this structure with e4, g4 aiming to prevent black from accomplishing f5 is a lot more effective if black's pawn is on c5 than it is when his pawn is on c7, because it means that he cannot get a knight to c5 and he cannot challenge my pawn with c6, and that once f5 comes, the weakness of the e4 square means the d6 pawn will be much weaker than it otherwise would be. So I was very satisfied with that. All right. I do not think I'm particularly concerned about black playing knight b4, so I am going to ignore that. And set up with queen e2 and get ready to castle long. Once I have done that, it will be next to impossible for black to get b5 through, and then slowly but surely rook dg1, h4, and crash the king side. Yeah, so let's castle. it will take black a million years to play b5, and then, or maybe he'll just play it next move. But even if he does, I don't particularly care. I don't think it does anything, and I'm ready to play h4 and send the Death Star in motion. Maybe this was careless. Maybe I should have played a4 and just stopped him from playing b5 forever, but in fact, yeah, that probably was a better decision. Here I'm realizing knight b5 is actually a bit annoying, just as I say that he plays it. But maybe I can just play around it. Let's go h5 and open the king. Knight d4 looks nice, but doesn't do very much. And if something like knight c3, bc, and queen a5, I don't really believe in the attack. But yeah, I misplayed this. I should have played a4 instead of allowing b5. And yeah, here this knight on d4 might look nice, but I think it's actually really doing almost nothing. I'm already threatening bishop takes g7 now. Be careful about those things that look nice but don't actually do anything useful. A lot of people fit that description. Oh, actually he has bishop g5 check. That's annoying. I've misplayed it. Yeah, so now black is okay again after bishop g5 check, if he finds it. Good night, Ariane. Thanks for the game. No worries about the flag. It's I'm very much in the minority of people who complain about that. Yeah, so I should not have allowed bishop g5, and now black is going to be okay, but that's all right. I'm actually not sure he's fully all right here, because at some points this d6 pawn is going to be a problem, and his pieces are still pretty badly restricted. Wow, gh5, that's bold. Open the g file for me. Okay. So how am I going to try to invade here? I need to improve my knight. Where does the knight belong? f6, b6? I can't get it there. Rook f1, f5, and he's all right. Let's go knight a4. I want to provoke him to play rook b8 and then reroute the knight to c4 via b3 and knight b2. Yeah, so knight b3, and eventually once the knight gets to c4, that's a very good square. You were losing to Nihal but flagged him, but did you at least flag him when you had material, so you technically won the game? Bishop d7, sure. I wanted knight b2 anyway. Now I'm threatening a6. Okay, that move I think is bad, because now this pawn is going to be very weak. What do I suggest against the Blumenfeld gambit? I advocate taking the pawn, so d6, cb5, and then a plan where you delay the development of the king and just go like knight bd2 and bishop b2. I think it's actually very important that the knight belongs on d2 instead of the more common c3. That's, I think, actually a really important detail that basically busts the Blumenfeld, but a lot of people don't know. So now I finally got my knight to a good score, and as soon as that happens, the game's basically over. So I take on a5, the knight will come back to c4 next. The whole problem with my position was that knight, and then once it finally rerouted, I'm good to go. Yeah, this game probably wasn't the best advertisement for the course, because I let black get more counterplay than he should have, but I also think that I'm going to win without much discussion here. Bishop g4, go make a queen, sure. Let's take this rook and bring the other rook to a1, and I think this pawn will get through. So a6. It's a little annoying. Hang on. So where do I want my knight to go? b5, c8, or c6? Probably c8 is the best square, actually. because that also threatens the d6 pawn and gets out of the way of bishop b5 to c6. So he heard me and stopped me, but wait, rook g1, and that's a piece, right? Yeah, too many threats. All right, so I could just take a piece, but that would be boring. I could play knight c8, but nah, boring is fine. I'm okay with boring, if boring is winning. Take. And that's a piece. All right, so let's stick this bishop on b7 and see how that goes for black. Tricky. Yeah, guys, I've won very few brilliancy prizes in my life. I win tournaments, not brilliancy prizes. I don't win beautiful, gorgeous games that get written up. I'm nitty-gritty and boring, but hey, winning is winning, and that's what I care about. All right, I think we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more games. I see someone with a Street Fighter thing. I used to like that at Fudge Alley when I was like 10. They had the video game system there, so I'll play with this Street Fighter guy. I don't know that character's name, or I don't remember it. Let's see. I can't play my repertoire. Let's see if I can. I'm playing the Catalan today, but let's just mix it up with knight c3. All right, so I played this queen a4 check move with Alan Pichot in the Banter Blitz Cup with this stupid bishop d2 response, but people don't know what to do against that. So far, nobody has played the right way. What do you mean about as rare as novelties? Novelties happen every game unless the entire game has been played before. They might just be stupid moves. I will play the Blumenfeld Gambit if chance given. I might just have to play with Batman for that comment. So that does sound very tempting. Yeah, so here, like, black is just worse. I have a very comfortable bishop pair, which I'm about to lose, but more importantly, the c file is going to be incredibly annoying for him, and the knight on c6 is misplaced. So, like, let's say bishop d3. Okay, bishop h7 is probably too much, so let's just take back. And this knight on c6, one bad piece makes a bad position, and that knight just ruins it. The only way you can ever justify a knight on c6 or a knight on c3 blocking a c-pawn is if you can play either e4 or, if you're black, e5. And here that's not going to happen, or at least I'm going to do my best to not let it happen. But maybe I've misplayed this. Okay, so queen f6, if you after castle e5, d5 wins the c7 pawn. So you're not playing e5, and you're not going to equalize. All right, so there, I guess bishop e4 is a good move, stopping e5, and then this is just horrible for black already. That one bad knight just ruins the position completely. Okay, so he plays e5 anyway and doesn't believe me. So which pawn do I want here? Bishop c6, knight e5, bishop e4, f3, bishop away, and then taking all the space, potentially even ready for knight d7 at the right moment. I could just take twice on e5 and take on b7, of course, but I find that less convincing. I'm going to take the pawn on e5. That seems pretty good. So yeah, bishop takes c6, knight takes e5, and I'm just wondering if after bishop e4, if I can win immediately. I don't see a great way. Like if knight d7, maybe he can play like queen f5, knight f8, bishop g2, and I can't take the bishop without allowing a draw. So after bishop e4, I think he sort of gets away with something like f3, bishop f5, and he doesn't like lose material on the spot, but it's still just very bad for black. He's a clean pawn down. So rook fd8, but that's the dying whisper, because now we will get this endgame where black is already one pawn down and the c6, the queenside structure is horrible, and white should win this routinely. Let's go rook c4, get ready. If rook b8, b3, and then the other rook will come to c1, and maybe I'll even start with rook a4. So that sort of forces rook b7, rook c1 comes next, and then like just the pawns will start dropping very quickly. So like here I can play rook a6, I can play rook c5 to a5, I kind of like that one, rook c5, king d7, rook a5, rook d5, rook takes a7, c5 at the end is annoying actually. Let's just be patient and bring the king. I don't need to go take the pawns right away. Black's not doing anything. So this is all fine. I will get the structure with h4 as I need it, and so h4, don't allow him to play g5. Seems like a good policy. All right, so rook c5, gain a tempo on the h5 pawn, bring the rook to a5, take the a7 pawn. This is too much. Yeah, guys, people are sympathizing with Hikaru's opponents. Hikaru is just very, very good at this online blitz. I mean, he's good at everything, of course. He's a great classical player. He's a great over-the-board player, blitz player. But like specifically online blitz, you know, you definitely, the pieces feel different when you play online. I can't, like when I play on the board, I can sort of superimpose the position I'm calculating onto the board. I can sort of see pieces moving around. I can visualize that really well. I just cannot do that online. So it feels very different in some ways, and Hikaru is one of the guys who does that very well. All right, so what do we want here? Semicella. It's not the most glorious rook I've ever seen on b7. Yeah, this endgame will not hold together for black. That's not a good sign if black felt that move was necessary. All right, so what? I mean, I could go rook c6 check and take another pawn, but I'd rather just sit on it. So, all right, let's go make it. Let's go make it queen. That seems easy enough. All right, so I think Batman said he would play the Blumenfeld, so I'll take up that challenge, and that'll be the end. I got to find the Batman challenge. Where is he? Here we go. He wants black. All right, Batman, let's see if I can bust your Blumenfeld, and that'll be it for the day. I will spam this course once more in the chat in case people want it. This is where I do a lot of stuff, including busting the Blumenfeld. So hopefully I don't fall totally on my face and embarrass myself in front of all these people. All right, b5, here we come. Let's do this. That takes. So yeah, I gave e3 here, and then b3, and then just slow developments. Or did I already screw this up? Yeah, I already screwed this up. What do you know? A takes b5 and queen a5 is check. I'm supposed to play a4 first or something like that. Oh boy, that's horrible. All right. That is so bad. Whole world will be laughing at me for that one. And now I'm probably just like worse. It's probably not that bad, but okay, queen b6. Let's just continue with my development scheme. Actually, the more I'm thinking about this, the more I think, despite what I just did, literally just blundering my extra pawn that I gave up the center to try to defend, I still think I'm better, which Sam should buy his course. Yeah, I really should. I'm such a knucklehead. This is absurd. All right, so let's castle. C4 will come, bishop c2, and my bishops look pretty active. No, c4. All right. Could go e4. E4, c4 looks dangerous though. A4, C4, or A4, C4, and then what happens? AB5, CD3, BC6. Let's go A4, BA4. What am I talking about? God, I'm so slow today. All right, let's duck the bishop back home. It's a very ugly square, but I'm going to have serious trouble developing my rook on A1 anyway because the A2 pawn was hanging, and I don't really want to play A3 or A4. Oh boy, that is so bad. I'm really bummed about what I just did. But maybe I will find something. Oh, my opponent disconnected. That's the best way to win the game. Just have them time out. Ah, no, he came back. All right, so bishop D7. Let's go for E4 and try to make some trouble. D4 I didn't think was a great decision, actually. This I actually thought was dubious. So if I play E5, that structure is quite good for me all of a sudden. Knight G4, and then do I have some knight takes D4? Let's find out. This could get very messy after something like knight G4, knight takes D4, knight takes F2, queen H5, and it will get very goofy very fast. But I think I sort of have to go for it, so I might as well just go. All right, and now my pieces are starting to look a bit better and maybe make some trouble. Yeah. Yeah, I got it. This is the last game. Yeah. Okay, so queen c7 seems like a sensible move. Attack that pawn. I could just go rook e1, and I don't believe he can take it because then knight takes c5 and knight takes d7 comes. I have more aggressive options, but I'm going to keep it simple. Any comments on the top 50 list? I don't even know. I don't even know if I'm on it anymore after everything that happened to me last year. Oh, you're the subjective thing that everyone's doing here. I don't know. I mean, look, people are just gonna whenever you can't compare across generations. I don't even bother trying. So I wouldn't really care about that. I do think people from the past tend to be overrated. It's mind-blowing to me that in the US particularly, everyone thinks that Morphy was the greatest genius to have ever played the game. And that, I mean, he was the best player of his era for sure, but like, people I think also obsessed over the classics too much. It's just like, it's mind-blowing to me that, I mean, there's great players of all eras, but I do not get how anybody can with a straight face believe that they can learn more from like Petrosian than from Kramnik. I mean, that's very strange to me. But what do you know? So here I think, despite my absolute opening catastrophe, where I'm supposed to just be like basically winning and instead just ended up worse, I think I'm going to survive this one and probably win the game. The pieces are coming in and Black's king side is going to collapse. All right, so good game, Batman. Thankfully, I did not manage to embarrass myself. I'm just going to spam the link in the chat one more time, and then call it a day. So here, and then this one as well for part one. I did my best to advertise them and play to the best of my ability, but since I have not yet covered d5 on the first move, and that will not come out until January, I got a bit unlucky in that. In any case, thanks all for watching. I think that'll do it for me, and have a good rest of your day, everybody.